Very good morning, my dear students. And once again, welcome to grade 12 accountancy class. So, previous session, what you discussed especially about preference shares, correct? Different types of preference shares. So, today we are going to discuss a very important one, equity shares, correct? Under section 43, subsection 1 of the Companies Act 2013. So, exactly simple. What are the equity shares? Those shares which are not preference shares. Simple, they give. Not preference shares. That's why it is called equity shares. Okay. So here, why the equity shares are the most commonly used. See, the most commonly used class of shares. So mostly the company will issue the shares, especially equity shares only. The preference shares very rare. Okay. That's what most of the companies, they are interested to issue only equity shares. That's what equity shares are the most commonly issued class of shares and carry the maximum risk. That's what a very important point. Maximum risk and reward of the business. Correct? So two things as a risk, then you will get reward. More risk, more reward. Correct? The more risk, more return. That's why why the company issues equity shares, why people are interested to buy only equity shares. That's what two things. The risk is also there. What's the risk here? The risk being losing part of or all of the value of shares. That means all of the value of shares if the business is incur losses. That means the entire shares, the equity share will be liable to pay as a shareholder meet the expenses as a losses. That's what. Repeat once again. So what's the risk here? The risk being losing part of or all of the value of shares if the business incurs losses. So definitely risk is there. But what's the reward? That is very important. As a reward, payment of higher dividends and appreciation in the market value. So as an equity share, they will get dividend depends upon the more profits. Correct? If a company having more profits, equity shareholder will get more dividend. But in the preference shares, they will get only fixed dividend. Correct? That's what the main important difference. So as a preference shares, only fixed dividends, whether company earning more profit or loss. But here, company earns more profit, will get more dividend. That's what very, very important. See, payment of higher dividends. Okay, the higher dividends. And appreciation in the market value. In the share market, suppose you are buying equity share, it's one of the famous company. So day by day, your share become value. As a 100 rupees share, so in the market value become 1000. Suppose you want to sell some 10 shares you are having at least. So but how much you bought it? 10 into 100,000. But now the market value is same 100 rupees value of share become 1000 now. So we can able to sell how much? Save 10 into 1000 become 10,000. Correct? That's what the very important point. Appreciation in the market value. Now understood the equity importance of equity share. There are only risk is there, simultaneously reward is there. That is very, very important point. But as a preference shares, only fixed dividend. So whether the company getting more profit or loss, they will get only fixed dividend. But here, based upon the more risk, getting more reward. That's why the beauty here for equity shares, section 43, subsection 1 of the Companies Act 2013. Okay. Now we are going to see the difference between equity share and preference shares. Then only you have a clear idea, picturized what way equity share is differentiated from in a preference share. Correct? That's what very, very important point. Now we are going to discuss difference between equity share and preference shares. So now let's see the difference between equity shares and preference shares under the chapter number 1, accounting for share capital. As a share capital, so definitely this is very, very important. We want to identify the difference between preference shares and equity shares. Correct? So as a basis, first one, right to dividend. So under preference shares, so dividend is paid on preference shares before it's paid on equity shares. That is very important. So before going to pay dividend on equity shares, first you are going to pay to whom? Preference shares. That's what the right of preference shares, right of dividend. So the dividend is paid on preference shares before it is paid on equity shares according to preference shareholder. Coming for the equity shareholder, the dividend is paid on equity shares after, so here the value is very important, after it is paid on preference shares. Here whatever dividend as a equity share, when they will get after the payment of preference share only, as a equity shareholder will get dividend. Okay, that's what the right to dividend, the first difference. Now understood? Now the second one, rate of dividend, that is very important. As we discussed earlier, the preference shares are always fixed. For example, 9% preference share, 10% preference share. That means what? So every year you will get that 9%, 10%. Okay, that's why it is called under rate of dividend. As a preference shares, they will get fixed rate of dividend. But coming under equity shares, there is no question of fixed. So the proposed by the board of directors every year. So why it is every year? Because based upon the profit only, the director declares for the dividend according to equity share. Now understood the rate of dividend, the second important difference. Now move for the third one, arrears of dividend. As arrears of dividend, when we discussed in preference shares, there are two types of according to dividend discussed. What is that? One is cumulative preference shares, other is non-cumulative preference shares. Now understand what is the meaning of cumulative preference shares? Even arrears of dividend, a preference shareholder will get. Suppose they are coming under cumulative preference shares. Same concept here. As arrears of dividend, if preference shares are cumulative preference shares, arrears of dividend is paid before dividend is paid on equity shares. So as a preference shareholder, suppose they are coming under cumulative preference shares, they will get arrears of dividend before they are going to pay on equity shares. Now understood? But as a equity shares, dividend is declared every year. In case dividend is not declared, that means that particular year there is no dividend. During the year, it is not accumulated to be paid in the coming year. You understood? Suppose that particular year, for example 2019, that means what? What is the accounting year? So 2019 April to our current year 2020 up to March. The particular year they not declared dividend, that means not declared dividend during the year. It is not accumulated to be paid in the coming year. So as a equity shares, suppose dividend is not declared, they can't get it. But as a preference shares, suppose that too they are coming under cumulative preference shares, they will get arrears of dividend. That's what the third important difference. Okay. Now move for the fourth one, convertibility. Again, according to preference shares, we discuss about convertibility. Correct? There are two types of convertibility under preference shares. One is convertible preference shares. Second is non-convertible different preference shares. So what's the meaning of convertibility here? According to preference shares, converted into equity shares. As a preference shareholder, as a preference shares, they can convert it into equity shares. But according to equity share, convertible is not possible. As a equity share, they never convert. It's not possible, not convertible. So here, as a preference share, it is convertible. As a convertibility, as a preference share, after conversion, they can become equity shares. But as a equity share, not convertible. That's what the fourth important difference. Now understood. Now, redemption. Again, we discussed according to preference shares, according to redemption, there are two types of redemption of preference shares. Correct? One is redeemable preference shares. Another is irredeemable preference shares. What is redeemable preference shares? So, some during fixed period of time, their preference shares they will get later on, a particular point of time. For example, 2015, we collected money in the form of preference shares. So, there itself 2015, they decided that you have to pay 2020 for the whatever the money we collected from the preference shares. That's what year he redeemed on the due date as a redemption. According to preference shares, they should redeem on the due date. Correct? So, the very specific date. Suppose that's what I said now, 2015, we collected money in the form of preference shares. So, there is a 2015, they will given the agreement that, declaration that the company will going to pay 2020, whatever the redemption, whatever the preference shares. So, that is called redemption of preference shares. You understood this point? As a redemption, according to preference shares, what is the meaning of redeemed on the due date? But as a equity share, a company may buy back its equity shares. Okay, here no question of redemption. Only a company may buy back its equity share. Same company, so they will buy back again the same equity share. Okay. Here redemption, they are repaying our preference shares. Okay. Then voting rights, that is very important. As a voting rights, see as a preference shares, have voting rights only in special circumstances. As a preference shareholder, they will get the voting rights only in a special circumstances. But in equity share, have voting rights in all circumstances. That is very important. Because already discussed, the equity shareholders are the owners of the company. Okay. They are the once you became a shareholder, you are the owners of the company. Correct. But as a preference shareholder, only the specific point, only the special circumstances only, they have some voting rights. But here, they will get the voting rights in all the circumstances. You understood now? So thereafter, refund of capital. That's what we discussed as a redemption here. Refund of capital. So what's the meaning of refund of capital? When as a preference share will get money. See here, on winding up. That word is very important. On winding up. The preference share capital is prepaid before the equity share capital is paid. Here this word is before. I repeat once again. On winding up, the preference share capital is repaid before equity share capital is paid. So as a return of capital, refund of capital, when the preference share will get, before we are going to pay equity shareholder, you have to pay first to whom? As a preference shareholder. We already discussed in participating right, correct? The two type of participating and non-participating, correct? So that will apply here according to preference shares. But coming under equity share, same thing, according to refund of capital, on the winding up, equity share capital is repaid when after the payment of equity preference share capital is paid. So when you will get equity shareholder, on the winding up, equity shareholder capital is repaid when after the preference shareholder capital is paid. But here, before equity share capital, preference shares you have to pay. But here, after payment of preference share, then only the money balance money available, that money goes to equity shareholder. Okay. See here, the preference share will get first, both way, correct? That's what, before, after, the word is very important. That's what your refund of capital, very important, 7th point. Now go for the 8th point. It's a very important one. Right to participate in management. Suppose you are a preference shareholder, as a preference you bought it. Don't have right, no right in participation in management. Just you can buy the preference share, only you will enjoy the fixed dividend. Correct. That is the only thing. Only the special, yeah, we discussed now, only the special circumstances will get the voting rights. But we can't participate in the management of the company. We can't run the company. Suppose you are a preference shareholder. But in a equity share, you can have a right to participate in the management of the company. So that is very, very, very important. That's what all your 8 points. The first is right to dividend, second is rate of dividend, third is arrears of dividend, then fourth is convertibility, then redemption, then sixth is voting rights. Correct. Then seventh is refund of capital. The eighth is very, very important. Right to participate in management. That's what your eighth difference is. So very, very, very important. So now see, the very important, the classification of share capital, correct? So the accounting for share capital, what are the classification of share capital? Nothing but types of share capital. See, we discussed earlier kinds of share capital. One is preference share, other is equity share. Here, you know, already in a financial statement, under liabilities and equity and liabilities, under that you have to mention what? Shareholders fund, under that share capital. That is coming under note number 1. That note number 1, that's what the classification of share capital. We are going to discuss totally 5 type of classification of share capital. So one is authorized capital. Okay, under section 2, subsection 8. Here, what is the meaning of authorized capital? Simple. It is stated in memorandum of association and is the maximum amount that a company can raise as share capital. That means what? As a fixing ceiling limit. Okay, ceiling limit. For example, company mentioned in a memorandum of association, maximum they can issue how much? As if, for example, 10,000 shares at the rate of 100. So how much they will get? Totally 10 lakhs. Okay, this 10 lakhs, beyond that this 10 lakhs, company cannot raise the share capital. That's why it is called authorized share capital. Correct? Authorized capital under section 2 subsection 8, the maximum amount that a company can raise as a share capital. That's why nothing but as a ceiling limit. Beyond this, for example, declared as a 10 lakhs as share capital. Beyond that, they can't raise. For example, they require 12 lakhs, they can't issue because authorized share capital is up to 10 lakhs. Now understood? It's a very important one. Authorized capital under section 2, subsection 8. Simple, you have to keep in your mind ceiling limit. Beyond that, you can't raise the capital is called authorized share capital or the maximum amount that a company can raise as a share capital. Okay, that is the very important one. First classification. Now move for the second classification, issued capital. Under section 2, subsection 50 of the Companies Act 2013, what's the meaning of issued capital? The company issues from time to time. So whenever required, they will issue. Time to time for the subscription, some periodic interval. Okay, so that's what it is called issued capital. For example, up to 10 lakhs, a company can raise. It is called authorized capital. So, but you issued only how much? Maybe see 9,000 shares only. So 9,000 shares at the rate of 100. So how much they will get? 9 lakh. This 9 lakhs is called. This 9 lakh is called issued capital. So the very important, company cannot issue more than 10 lakhs. They issued how much? Only 9 lakhs. Whenever they require, time to time for subscription. That's why it is called issued capital. Even the company have 10 lakh as authorized capital as a ceiling limit, but they issued only 9 lakhs only. That's what 9,000 shares at 100 each. Okay. Each share is 100. So only they can issue 9 lakhs. You understood now? That is called issued capital according to section 2, subsection 50. Now move for the subscribed capital. So what's the meaning of subscribed capital? Simple. As a section 2, subsection 86. So what they are telling, time being subscribed by the members of the company. So anything here issued capital, 9,000 shares. But how much they subscribed? Maybe how much? 8,500. So 8,500 they subscribed. That's what. Time being, how much they subscribed? Even though 9,000 shares they issued how much? Only 8,500 by the members of the company. So very important thing as a subsidiary capital under section 2, subsection 86. Again, there are two classifications. One is subscribed and fully paid up. So whatever 8,500 we subscribed, we got it. For example, into 100. So how much we will get? Here we will get exactly 8,50,000 as a subscribed capital. Under subscribed capital, first classification, subscribed and fully paid. Here subscribed but not fully paid. That means what? They paid only 8,000 into 100, so they will get only 8 lakhs. So that's what, even though they given for subscription 8,500 shares, for subscribed but not fully paid up, only 8,000, even the 8,500 here, they subscribed only how much? 8,000 only. That's what they were subscribed but not fully paid. So only the 8,800, we get it only 8 lakhs. Understood? That's what? A very, very important classification for the under subscribed capital, coming under subscribed and fully paid up, thereafter subscribed but not fully paid up. You understood? See, one by one we'll see the differences. First is authorized capital, now issued capital, now move for the subscribed capital, that too subscribed and fully paid up, subscribed but not fully paid up. You understood the differences one by one. And fourth one, called up capital. Section 2, subsection 15. Part of the capital which has been called for payment. Here, anyway, later I'm going to discuss. For example, the share is under 10 rupees, correct? 100 rupees. So first they will apply for 20 rupees. Thereafter allotment. Okay, coming under 30 rupees. This is called first call, maybe 20 rupees. Again, second call, this is 30 rupees. Totally 100. See, that's what the part of the capital. So 20 application. Thereafter allotment. Thereafter first call. Thereafter second call. That's what detail going to discuss for the accounting for share capital. Our main debt. Correct. Here as they called up only how much? Totally, for example, here on the 100, they called up only 20 plus 30, 50 plus 20, 70 only they called up. That's what the idea here. How much they called up? Here on the 100, how much they called? Only 70. That's what part of the capital which has been called for payment. That it is called up capital and section 2, subsection 15. Then here very interesting, paid up capital. Section 2, subsection 64. What is the meaning of paid up capital? The final one. See, amount that the shareholder has paid and the company has received against the amount called up and respect of shares towards share capital. Here how much he called 70. Actually how much they paid here? 50 rupees. Okay. Even though 70 rupees he called, they paid up only 50 rupees. So for example, 8,000 shares into 50. That's what they received. 8,000 into 50, 4 lakhs only. You understood? Even though here 70, each share is 100 rupees, they called only 70 rupees. But here, even though 70 rupees called up, here they paid up how much? Only 50 rupees. You understood? I repeat once again, and the paid up capital, amount that the shareholder has paid and the company has received against the amount called up. Against the amount called up. The 70 rupees. Understood? Against the amount called up. In respect of share towards share capital. That's what, how much totally under? That's what, totally under. That, how much called up? 70. How much paid finally? Only 50. So understood the, what is the meaning of paid up? That's why there are 5 type of classification. First one is authorized share capital. Second one is issued share capital. Third one is subscribed share capital. Under that, subscribed and fully paid up. Subscribed not fully paid up. Fourth one is how much we called up capital. Finally, how much paid up capital. That's what the 5 important classification under. You will see the classification of share capital. Even you have to memorize the section is very, very important. That's why I note that everywhere, wherever possibility, I maintain the section also. That is very, very, very important. So as we discussed now, what are the classification of share capital, authorized capital, thereafter issued capital, paid up, then called up, then subscribed capital. Correct. See here now one example, how it will represent on no stock accounts. As a balance sheet, you know, share capital coming in the shareholders fund. Correct. So shareholder fund coming under equity and liabilities. Okay. Now how the balance sheet represents, how to write no stock accounts. Correct. One example. Now please go to see now. See, a company registered with authorized capital of 1,50,000 equity shares. Okay. So 1,50,000 equity shares. Company registered with authorized capital of 1,50,000 equity shares of 10 each. Okay. Issued 1 lakh equity shares. So they clearly mentioned authorized capital 1,50,000. Issued 1 lakh equity shares. Okay. It has called the total nominal. It has called the total nominal value, face value of the share. That's what we will say. The 10 rupees is face value, nominal face value. And received the amount on all the shares. This word is very important. Except a final call of 3 on 10,000 equity shares. Okay. So that's what they are clearly telling. Received the amount and all the shares except a final call of 3. So I said break up now. How much application, how much allotment. That's what the 3 rupees of only the 10,000 equity shares not yet paid. Okay, that is the information given from this illustration. So share capital of 10,000 equity shares will be classified how? The question mark we will put. So where you want to show that 10,000. It's a non-payment of share. Okay, now we'll see how to write. We have to go to the share capital. We say in a balance sheet, they put note stock. Correct. Share capital number 1. That's what here, note accounts, particulars. That, okay, for example, share capital 1. So as a share capital, you know authorized capital. From the information, you know how much authorized capital. See, 1,50,000 equity shares of 10 each. So naturally, how much? 15 lakhs. So in a balance sheet, as on year ended 31st March 2020, you have to make it 2 underline. That means in a balance sheet, you can't total this amount. This information for you. In the particular company, what is our authorized capital, ceiling limit up to 15 lakhs. That is the information given from the notes to accounts very clearly. So 1,50,000 equity shares of 10 each, 15 lakhs. Okay, that is the first information. Thereafter, issued 1 lakh equity shares. Okay, it has called the total nominal value of 10. Okay, so how much issued? So not more than nominal value. What is our authorized capital? So more than, you can't raise more than 1,50,000. So naturally, there is less than 1,50,000 only they issued. So here they clearly given issued capital how much? Here issued capital. So here authorized capital, I underline. Then here issued capital. What is issued capital? 1 lakh equity shares of 10 each. 10 lakhs. Here also have to put underline. So information for you. How much you issued. So thereafter, and received the amount on all the shares except a final call of 3 rupees. Okay. So actually now going for the next heading, we discussed what is our authorized capital, thereafter issued capital. Now what is our subscribed capital? That's what here, see, issued capital, here subscribed capital. The subscribed capital except 10,000 equity shares. So remaining 90,000 equity shares, they given full amount, all 10 rupees. That's what, where you have to write? Here you have to write subscribed and fully paid up how much? That's what 90,000. How 90,000? 1 lakh minus 10,000. It is not yet paid. You can't receive this particular 10,000 equity shares. So how much exactly received? Subscribed and fully paid. So 90,000. That's what here 90,000 equity shares of 10 each, 9 lakhs. This is the first important information. Under what heading? Subscribed and fully paid. Okay. Now the remaining 10,000, see, except a final call of 3 rupees on 10,000 equity shares. That share capital of 10,000 equity shares, where you will classify? Under what head? That's what. So next heading is what? See, subscribed and not fully paid up. That heading. Subscribed but not fully paid up. That's what. That's how much subscribed? The remaining 10,000 equity shares of 10 each, 1 lakh. But what happened? The final call of 3 rupees, they not yet paid. That's what. Less, it is called calls in arrears. Later on you can able to understand what is the meaning of calls in arrears. So due payment from the shareholder. That is called calls in arrears. Suppose sometime shareholder will pay in advance. That is called calls in advance. So there are calls in arrears, calls in advance. That's what in discussion we'll discuss later. Here the idea, subscription, see, subscribed and not fully paid up. So how much actually here? 10,000 equity shares of 10 each. So 1 lakh. So how much not yet paid? That's what. Less calls in arrears 10,000 into 3 rupees, 30,000 we deducted. So how much you received actually? The 10,000, only 7 rupees only received. That's what the idea here, 70,000. As a 1 lakh, given the 1 lakh, but calls in arrears 30,000 due to the 3 rupees. So received only how much? 70,000. Now the total share how much you received? 9 lakh 70,000. Given the 10 lakh, received 9 lakh 70,000 because these 3 rupees except a final call of 3 rupees. 10,000 equity shares not yet paid. That's what the presentation here under no stock account. Now understood what's the meaning of authorized capital, what's the meaning of issued capital, how to represent in a balance sheet through no stock accounts. Thereafter, subscribed capital, two classifications, subscribed and fully paid up. How you will going to show as a represent in no stock account, then subscribed and not fully paid up. Now understood this example, you have a clear idea how to show in a balance sheet that too under especially in notes to accounts. Okay. Then the next discussion here, reserved capital. One of the important words. What is reserved capital? See the subscribed capital. That's what I discussed here. Na? The subscribed capital remaining uncalled. Suppose we said na, even though 10 rupees, we called 7 rupees. Okay. The remaining uncalled. So 3 rupees uncalled. Okay. Subscribed capital remaining uncalled that the company resolves by a special resolution. The company want to pass special resolution not to call. So when they will call, not to call, when except this word is very except in the event of winding up of the company. Only at the time of winding up of the company only, you have to do the reserved capital going to utilize. That was subscribed capital remaining uncalled that the company resolves in a special resolution. Okay, so not to call when except till that in the event of winding up of the company. So at the winding up of the company till that we don't want to call. That is the idea. Yeah, that is called reserved capital. So when you will call the time of winding up only, you have to call that particular unpaid amount, uncalled amount. That's what is called reserved capital. Now they see the words, interestingly, this is reverse. Suppose capital reserve. So you know already this is what is capital reserve. Already discussed in financial statement under reserves and surplus, totally some 8 reserves, maybe general reserve. Under that you are able to know already in financial statement capital reserve. Now understood? Here reserved capital. What's the meaning of capital reserve? You become confused. Just name is transferred here. Capital reserve. Only here reserve capital, here capital reserve. Misplace of sentence. Here what is the meaning of capital reserve? You know very well. So created where only the out of capital profit. When I say out of capital profit only, we created capital reserve. So capital reserve is different, reserve capital is different. See, and it's not free. So it is not free for distribution as dividend. So you can't utilize capital reserve as a dividend. You can't declare for utilization of capital reserve. That is the very important point. We have the clear difference between what is reserve capital and capital reserve. I will going to see one by one the exact difference between, going to see now what is reserved capital and the capital reserve now one by one. Okay, that's what the very important discussion for this one. See now we discussed about difference between reserve or capital and capital reserve. Okay, so you should learn now itself the main difference between reserve capital and the capital reserve. See, according to basis meaning when we discussed what is the meaning of reserve capital? It's a part of the uncalled capital. Okay, it's a part of the uncalled capital which cannot be called up when till except in the event of winding up. So this word is very important. That's what the meaning of reserve capital. That's what we discussed already. Similarly, coming for capital reserve, part of the reserve which is not free for distribution as a dividend. So it is not utilized for giving dividend to the shareholder. Okay, as a capital reserve. Only for some specific purpose. That's what the first very important thing. What's the meaning of reserve capital and the capital reserve? Okay, main difference. Thereafter, creation. So how it was created, how it was happened. So it is an uncalled capital. For example, totally 10 rupees. They called only 7. Remaining is what? The 3 rupees uncalled capital. That's what the creation of our reserve capital. Correct? But similarly, here as a capital reserve, it is created. How it was created? It is out of capital profit. So whenever capital profit created, for example, as a car, instead of as a 5 lakhs worth of car, you sold for 5 lakh 50,000. Okay. So that 50,000 is called what? It's a profit. So sale of asset, correct. That's what the creation created out of capital profit. So capital asset created for the profit, correct. That's what the idea here, capital reserve. Now move for the third important one, optional or mandatory. So it is a compulsory or not. So reserve capital is compulsory or not. Okay. So it is not mandatory. Okay. To have reserve capital. So there is no compulsion. There is no compulsion. It's not a mandatory to have reserve capital. Depends. So always many companies, they call 10 rupees. There is not a condition that first you have to call 7 rupees. Remaining 3 rupees don't call like that. It's not compulsory, it's not mandatory. But in the capital reserve, it is an appropriation. So appropriate to transfer capital profit to capital reserve. What is called appropriation of profit? So once you have a profit, if anything excess, there only you have to create it for capital reserve. That is called appropriation of profit. Okay. That is the very important thing, out of profit. But in the profit and loss account, that is called what? Charge against profit. Because what is appropriation profit? It is out of profit. Understood earlier, discussed difference between appropriation of profit and profit and loss account. Correct. That's very, very important here. So here, where we are created, appropriate some portion, transfer capital profit to capital reserve. If it is available only, it is created. Okay, that's what the difference of creation. That's what your third difference. Then, special resolution. See here anything special resolution going to pass as a reserve capital, special resolution is required. It is required. Very important. For reserve capital. But here, special resolution not required because so whenever you have capital profit, you transfer to capital reserve. Otherwise, no need. Right? That's what the special resolution under reserve capital it is required, but as a capital reserve it is not required. Now move for the time when it can be used. Now, okay, now we have reserve capital. What time, when it can be used, when we are going to use. That's what under reserve capital. So it can be called only at the time of winding up. Again, the same point we discussed here. Na? So only at the time of winding up only, we want to utilize this reserve capital. Okay. But here as a capital reserve, it can be used during the lifetime of the company. So whenever some important condition fulfills, you can utilize capital reserve. But here, only at the time of winding up, we're going to utilize reserve capital. That is very, very important thing. Okay. Then, writing off any capital losses. Writing off any capital losses, another possibility here as a reserve capital. See, here cannot be used. This reserve capital not possible to write off any capital losses. But as a capital reserve, it can be used to write off losses. As a capital reserve, you can utilize. Reserve capital, you can't utilize for any capital losses. That is very, very important differences. Okay. Now finally disclosure. So how we will show reserve capital? You can able to show in a balance sheet? No. See, it is not disclosed, shown in the company's balance sheet. So only information for you. So reserve capital. You can't show in a balance sheet. Because 30 rupees, whatever the uncalled money, so you are not receiving any money. So only the information. But as a capital reserve, where you are going to show, as I said, none. It is disclosed under reserves and surplus. What is the reserves and surplus? Reserves and surplus coming under what? Share capital. The share capital, the second one. The reserves and surplus coming under shareholders fund. Okay. The shareholders fund coming under equity and liabilities. Now we will see the financial statement of the balance sheet. So equity and liabilities, the heading. Under that, shareholders fund. Thereafter, A, share capital. Then B, reserves and surplus. Under that, you want to show as a capital reserve. That's what here you are disclosing. You have to show because the profit transferred to capital reserve. But here, no question of disclosure. You can't see, as we can't show in the company's balance sheet. That's what the very, very important difference for the, as you know, the reserve capital and the capital reserve. These are the 7 important differences. You have to make it now itself to practice for our examination purpose also. See, now we will see the finally for this session difference between authorized or nominal capital and issued capital. Correct? That is very, very important. So later on become confused. What is authorized or nominal capital and issued capital? So that's what the main 3 differences. First, you know the meaning of the authorized or nominal capital. What is that? So it is the amount stated in the memorandum of association. What we discussed. Correct? It's a capital clause. Correct? Which company can raise as share capital of the company. So the company can raise as a share capital of the company. It will show in memorandum of association. Okay. So it is the nominal value of that part of authorized capital. This value is very important. That part of authorized capital. So the issued capital is the part of the authorized capital. So for example here, our capital is 10 lakhs. So beyond that we can't raise, correct? It is authorized capital. So we can't, this is the part of the authorized capital which is issued for subscribed. Okay, that's why we can consider maybe 8 lakhs. So less than 10 lakhs. Okay, that's why the value is very important. Nominal value of that part of authorized capital which is issued for subscription. So only beyond that we can't raise. That's why our issued capital is the part of the authorized capital. That's what the very, very important difference. Okay, now understood authorized or nominal capital and issued capital. Then disclosure in memorandum of association. So you know already the amount is stated in memorandum of association. That's what discussed already here. Here it is not stated in memorandum of association because already stated our authorized capital. So what is our issued capital? So only the part of the authorized capital. So not necessary to again stated in memorandum of association. But here you want to show as amount is stated in memorandum of association. Then finally whether one can exceed the other. Okay, what is the meaning? See here as authorized or nominal capital, it is equal to or more than the issued share capital. Okay, so it can be more than the issued share capital. Understood the logic again? So finally, our authorized capital is the final one. So it is more than the issued share capital. That's what here the where is more. Okay, issued share capital. Here, totally reverse. It is equal to what is issued capital? It is equal to or less than the authorized share capital. So understood the difference? So it is equal to or less than the authorized share capital. But here more than the issued share capital. Okay, as authorized share capital can be more than the issued share capital. Here it is equal to or less than the authorized share capital. That's what the difference are. Three differences very, very important later on. Authorized nominal capital and the issued capital. So as in this video session, we discussed many things. First of all, the meaning of the equity share under section 43, subsection 1 of the Companies Act 2013. Correct. So thereafter, difference between equity share and preference share. That is also very, very important. So thereafter, we discussed the classification of capital. What is the 5 classifications? Authorized capital, issued capital, thereafter subscribed capital, and the subscribed capital, subscribed poorly paid up, subscribed but not poorly paid up, then finally called up capital, paid up capital. Correct. Thereafter, what is the meaning of reserve capital and capital reserve? Then what is the differences between reserve capital and capital reserve? So finally, it's very important. You should know definitely differences between authorized or nominal capital and issued capital. So that's what this session. I hope that more useful for you. So make it this video repeat once again 2 or 3 times for make yourself foundation for strong in company accounts under accounting for share capital. Later on we can do when we are working for the sums. You understood, recollected all the information later. Okay. So I hope that you understood very much. Okay. Thank you very much.